Welcome back to the Acoustic Shoppe channel, your official source for all things acoustic. Today, we have a special guest in the house. It is Josh Rinkel. We're going to be talking about the Josh Rinkel signature guitar, as well as the standard model from Gallagher. A lot of cool stuff on this. In this video, we're going to be talking about how it came about, all the specs. We're going to give you guys some tone samples to hear what it sounds like. We're going to do all of that right after this. Well, it is good to have you in here, Josh. We're going to be talking about guitars. It's good to have you all the way from Nashville.
That's right.
Flew all the way in here just to talk about Gallagher guitars. And yeah, it's going to be a whole bunch of fun. If you have not yet done it, please, we would really appreciate it if you'd hit the bell, do the like, do the subscribe. And then everybody, let's talk about comments. We can just talk to Josh here about skunks and various other animals.
Right.
He's a critter man.
I'm an expert.
No, you're here today because we're going to be talking about Gallagher guitars and your history with them. Gallagher, for those of you who have not been following, is a brand that has been around for a long time and really got a big fame boost when Doc Watson started playing it. Yeah. This was it. And then as me and you both grew up, that was where we really knew what Gallagher guitars were all about.
Yeah. And then I seen a few other Gallagher guitars out on the road. I remember James King had one for a while. And then
I remember that.
Chris Jones had one for a long time.
His looks like one of the original ones.
Yeah, his looks ancient.
It's gone through a few things.
It's got some spunk to it, some mojo.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
And Gallagher guitars, as you all know, again, if you followed the channel, know we have seen a rebirth of that recently. David Mathod has purchased the company and has been really doing some amazing things, and I think that's where it piqued your interest. Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure. We met David at Merle Fest in 2021, and we played some of the guitars, and CJ actually ended up buying one that day. I never have any money.
Too busy buying cast iron and such.
Yeah, cast iron and hunting gear. But CJ bought one that day, and you know, I actually ended up playing it on the road as my backup guitar. Anytime I would break a string or something, I would grab it and play it, and it just, every time I grabbed it, it was opened up more and more. It was just like this living thing that was growing up, and you know, it's crazy how quick these guitars open up to me. So I decided that I needed one of my own. So I reached out to David, and I told him, you know, I don't like just the average anything. I like it to look like my own thing. So instead of just grabbing one that they already had, he invited me down to the shop there in Murfreesboro. And I went through all the options and picked out everything that I wanted on it. I wanted it to look like my guitar. And I was taking a chance on that too, because you know how it is ordering a guitar.
It's always a guess.
Yeah, for sure.
And so a lot of times it can be an educated guess because you do have a really good idea of what it's all about.
For sure, but when you're anything that's made in quantities, there's going to be, you know, inconsistencies, whether it's good or bad. But he knocked it out of the park with it, and then, you know, I played it for most of 2022, and then in the winter of 22, I called him up and I said, hey, what would you think about making a few more of these for me to try and sell? And he's like a signature model? And I was like, well, I don't know if I deserve a signature model, but sure.
Sure. I like that. I don't know if I deserve one, but sure.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
You're the one that said that word, not me. But no, we got back together and figured out the best way to go about doing it. And I didn't realize this. I was the first signature model since he took over the company. So that was pretty cool. And I don't think that puts me in the same regards as people like Doc Watson, but it still makes me feel
It's a
good.
pretty powerful spot to kind of to lean into.
Cool.
There's very few that'll find, but it's really cool that you did, because you've done a few unique characteristics to it, which kind of make it your own. Anything that in particular, what do you think is the brings in the essence of what this model is all about?
I think it's the sunburst. I really like the sunburst that they're putting out on some of their guitars, and I went in there and kind of took a little bit from a few different sunbursts that they had. Most of the time a sunburst, they spray the guitar one solid shade and then they burst the rim. I wanted it to stand out and be different, and I wanted the burst around the rim to really pop. So I had them do it to where the center of the guitar is actually still at the natural color of the wood. So it doesn't have that base layer of a solid shade over top of the whole thing.
Gotcha.
And it's pretty different. I get a lot of compliments on the sunburst.
Absolutely. I like the colors. Now, we have two different ones in here right now, and we're going to cover both. This is the original one that you did, number one.
This is the first one,
And then this one right here is the standard model. There is both a signature model and a standard model. And we'll talk about the little differences in both of those here in a second. In fact, actually what we should do right now is kind of go through this as it sits. So right now, I'll give you the specs on this. The signature price is at $49.95. I had to duck down a little bit there. $4,600 for the standard model. It is a dreadnought guitar. It does have mahogany back and sides. You're a big mahogany fan.
Yep.
All right, with an Adirondack spruce top. Those obviously we're big fans of as well. It does also have a mahogany neck. It does have now there's a little bit of difference in between these two models. The big difference on this one is the signature model has a bound fretboard and peg head that is wood bound, and a purfling stripe maple, which does set it off, whereas the standard model does not. And there you go. Again, a black body binding with ebony bridge and ebony fretboard. Does have a bone nut and saddle, which is standard. Now, this one that we show as the standard right now has the closed gear shallers, but you do it will probably be changing over to open gear tuners very soon.
Going to open gear.
And open gear, obviously, on the signature model as well. Bracing is the Gallagher standard bracing. It is scallop bracing on this one. A gloss finish with a satin on this one. Now, I do know yours has a gloss neck, but I think we're going to see, as far as the spec from now on, should be a satin finish. Is that correct?
That's right.
There you go. Again, comes with a TKL case, the Gallagher case, and 1 3/4 nut width with a 25.25, so slightly shorter scale length there, just by 1/2 inch right there. No, 1/4 inch. So
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I tell you, you didn't know. Anyway, it's a 25.25 inch scale. And then the custom specs, the signature adds a special buffalo themed label that you actually signed, which is really, really cool too. It's one that you designed, correct?
I told them my idea of what I wanted to be on the label. They asked me how we can make the label unique to me, and I told them I wanted a buffalo on it.
Well, there you go. Awesome. And absolutely really cool looking and sounding guitar. I do love the bound fretboard and peg head on that. It's a subtle binding. It's not the big crazy one, but yet I've always been a big fan of a thin purfling line on fretboards all the way through.
That was actually David's idea. I told him I wanted a black bound fretboard and peg head, and I didn't even think about it. You wouldn't be able to tell that it was bound. So,
in the past I've done some with tortoise, and it's like you see it if you're on it, but otherwise you don't. And it's still a very cool look as you, the owner / player, but again, nobody else is going to see it.
He called me up. He said, "What if we put a little strip in there to kind of set that off?" And I was like, "Oh, that's a good idea."
There you go.
So and it turned out great. I think it really, for not having any fret markers on the fretboard, I think it helps kind of make the fretboard pop a little bit.
It is a great sounding guitar. Definitely a punchier guitar than what I've seen some of these be. And a lot of that probably is push of the Adirondack. That's not been a signature staple, although we've seen quite a few of these guitars come in from Gallagher that we've custom ordered with Adirondack tops. But the original guitars that Gallagher was known for were all Sitka tops, and that's where they're kind of basing off of. But we're starting to see a lot more options this direction lately. So, and that was absolute for you.
Yeah,
correct?
that was a must for me. I've had my fair share of Sitka top guitars, and they're good in certain situations, but just all around, for the volume and the response, I don't want to, when I hit a guitar, I want it to be there. I don't want to have to dig for it or work for it, especially when I'm on stage.
Sure.
You can be more dynamic and work in and out of certain parts of the song more with Addy, I think.
Yeah, we just got this one in, and we just tuned it up for the first time right before we started filming, and it's got more than enough low end. Very punchy, very responsive. In fact, this is one of the more responsive guitars we've seen from Gallagher, so congratulations. This is a fantastic, and I agree with you. I love this look of this burst.
Yeah.
I've taken a long time to kind of get into a burst. I
man.
was a natural top guy for a long time,
Yeah.
and what's funny is I still haven't got one. I still haven't got a burst. I'm hankering for one. If the guitar comes across, it's the one. But I know
a really nice one.
like one right now.
Fit you really well.
I see what you just did there. Are you taking like a percentage on this or something? I see it. Oh yeah, I know how you are.
No, not
Anyway,
at all.
tone-wise on this, I think it is because of that Addy top, way more responsive. Does have some pretty big low end, and yet still has some pretty pristine highs. Now yours, you probably agree with that same assessment on yours.
Yeah, and mine. These new ones right out of the box are amazing. Every time I play one of the models that he's made based off this one, they're getting better and better. And mine's definitely had some more time played on it, so it's a little more opened up as far as age goes. I'm pretty hard on guitars. I beat them like they owe me.
Like they owe you.
So
kind.
So it's a little more wore in, but it's aging really nice. It's
Good.
only a year old, but it's it's like I said earlier. It's a different guitar every time I pick it up, but still consistent. If that makes sense.
Sure.
You can tell that it's coming into its tone that it's going to have.
Absolutely. Now, one of the other things that sets off your signature one is, as of right now, the Fire Stripe pickguard,
Yep.
where the standard has a black guard. And
Yeah.
I am a big fan of that material. It looks to me like the Turtleoid material, which a good friend of ours builds, and I think that stuff is wonderful. I'm a big fussy guy about guards, and I'll tell you where my fussy part is a lot of times they put on these heavier, thicker guards that tend to kind of kill the tone of a guitar,
Yeah.
where that material does a really good job. So thinner, to
Yeah.
me, a little bit better. So
Yeah.
there's my opinion on it. Not that you asked or even care, but I gave it to you anyway. As far as what do you think for you? What were you going after? You played lots of guitars. Was there a guitar that you think this compares to, that you were kind of going after that sort of sound? Obviously, you want to get your own sound, but was
Yeah.
there something that you were kind of leaning in on?
No, there was a. It was more just looks than anything. I know I wanted the mahogany back and sides and the Addy top for the sound that I like to go for, but I was really just trying to make it unique to me as far as the looks go. I had a Martin HT28V. It was my first Martin I ever got, and I transformed it over time. I put a bigger pickguard on it, and I had all the fret markers removed, and it was a Sunburst. It was the Amberton Sunburst from Martin, and I sold that guitar. I wish I would have never sold it. So I think I was just trying to go after that look that I kind of created with that guitar. And I actually got that guitar back recently. So that was kind of
pretty
cool.
cool.
I got to show it to David. I was like, when I designed this guitar, this is what I was going for, and I got to show it to him. So yeah, it wasn't really like anybody in particular's sounds. All my heroes in the guitar world were singers and songwriters, so they weren't like crazy good pickers.
What made you decide to go mahogany? Because you just described a rosewood guitar.
Yeah.
So why mahogany?
Well, I grew up a little bit. I used to me and Jeremy, Jeremy Brown, banjo player for the Poe Ramblin' Boys. We've known each other since we were kids and been in a band with each other in some way or another since I was 13 and he was 10. And we've fought tooth and nail over the mahogany rosewood argument, and I finally switched over to mahogany.
Well, it is definitely a change. I think everybody assumes that rosewood guitars, I mean, that's kind of the way it used to be, was mahogany guitars were kind of the forgotten part of it. They were the cheaper guitars and lesser, and we definitely are seeing a bigger swing of mahogany players. There's definitely a tone, a balance, a punch that comes out of mahogany. If you're looking for a bigger rhythm guitar, you do get a little bit of a sweeter, richer, thicker low end out of a rosewood guitar, but sometimes really hard to mic. I recently got another rosewood guitar here, and I've been trying to play it some live, and I definitely go back to the recognizing there's definitely a little harder to put on stage and get what I want out of them live. So.
And I've noticed too, it depends on the top a lot, because I get more out of a rosewood guitar. I get more out of it what I'm looking for if it has an Addy top. So I think the East Indian rosewood with the Addy top is a good combo. But the East Indian rosewood with the Sitka top is
a little mushy.
It's not really what I'm looking for. Sure. It's hard to, it's like you said, they're hard to mic.
Yes.
They really are. It's hard to get a good warm tone over a microphone, especially if you're playing on a single mic or condenser, to where that mic has to be true to everything on stage.
And definitely mahogany tends to, it's like almost always right for that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Good. There you go. So what we're going to do now is get you guys a little tone sample of this guitar so you can see if it's something that you would be looking for. Well, there you have it, Josh. Thanks for coming in today. This has been a whole bunch of fun, and it's a great guitar. Good for you getting to work with somebody and do your vision. I think that's my favorite part of working here, has been kind of getting to do some of that, but you get to do it with an actual model that gets to stay. I just get to do it every once in a while with a one-off, so good for you.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Very great sounding guitar, and if you guys enjoyed checking this guitar out, you'll probably enjoy this video. There's going to be a link right here. You can point to it too. It's going to be right here, right there. That's the one. And that is where we recently went to Murfreesboro and visited with the folks at Gallagher. Went through the entire process of how they build guitars, and it's a pretty cool process. A really cool place. So you can check out that link right here. And until next time, guys, keep on going at it, and we'll see you with more videos the next time around. Maybe with this guy. I don't know. Maybe not. Probably not. You're not coming back.
I'm not.
Yeah, that's okay.